what's up, everybody? How's it going? It's Jack here, and I am excited to be back talking more about the Rippaverse stuff because it just gets me excited to talk about it. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy, obviously, the comic genre as a comic producer, and I love seeing Liberty win and the woke SJW, you could say, mainstream lose. So it makes me feel really good to be able to talk about it and reflect on it and promote it. It just makes me happy. It brings me great joy. Hey, what's up, Nick? Good to see you. Welcome back. Welcome back. So what I'm going to be doing today is going over the Rippaverse kind of story here on the actual site as far as what we know, what's listed. And then I'm going to kind of opine and theorize about some of these connections and possibilities for the universe until we actually get the story in hand. So I think it'd be a lot of fun to kind of think about it and maybe make some parallels, and maybe we can crack some things even before we actually get the copies in our hands. So we'll see. What's up, Booted Bear? Good to see you here. Welcome back. So we're going to be taking some time to, just do that, talk about it, read through it, and then think through it together. And if you have an interesting idea, or you come up with something as we're going through this, something kind of percolates and makes you think about what could be possible, go ahead, throw that down there in the comments, especially if on YouTube. I can see the YouTube comments for sure. So if you're not on YouTube, definitely check out YouTube. That's where you can also do super chats and stuff like that too. So we're going to take a look now over here at the Rippaverse campaign. As you can see up top, it's moving more slowly. But I talked about this the other day in my video about the Rippaverse losing some of its momentum. I think personally to the announcement about PayPal. So it's at 3.3 million, which again is amazing, but it's at 3.364. It's been really kind of slow grinding ever since that announcement was made about the PayPal issue thing. So I think we're going to see this slow grind for a little bit until that gets resolved. But in the meantime, hey, let's have some fun talking about it. 39,000 people have gotten in on it. I imagine he's going to break 40,000 total purchasers for sure before the campaign closes, at least. So we're going to see this continue to get bigger and bigger. So let's take a look at the description and the story specifically. So the story here, it says Avery Silman was once an entry-level hero known as Isom, and I had a reminder of how to pronounce it the other day. So thank you for reminding me. It's Isom, not Ism. It's so tempting to say Ism. So Isom in the city of Flores Park, Texas, shortly after gaining his special abilities. So already we have some interesting things here that make you think about it, because why would you describe someone as an entry-level hero unless there is some system in the first place, where you can actually have things be higher or lower, right? So why would you have entry-level unless there is some tiered system? So this has already got my mind going, thinking about here that if you have an entry-level thing and there's tiers, well, then what is this like? Is this like Dragon Ball Z with power levels kind of tier? Or is this like My Hero Academia, where you actually have kind of classes of different types of heroes? Or even more, I guess you could say, like One Punch Man, where you have different grades if you're an official hero? I don't know. I mean, is the entry level mean, describing just himself? Or is it something more official? That's going to be something that we're going to, have to find out. And hey, you got some more people coming in. What's up, Chen? Good to see you. So it's, it's going to be interesting to see whether this entry level word usage that we can see, right here, is that something that is actually describing just a generality about him, like, oh, he just started to do it? Or is there actually some type of tier or association or achievement or awards? I just don't think that entry level hero, usually, you wouldn't say that on its own. You just say hero or something like that, or, up and coming. But entry level, that specific word choice really makes me wonder if there's going to be some type of hero association or something of that nature. So, oh, and then says, I wish Eddie sent up people could buy some comics and graphics. Right? Yeah, I know it's very frustrating not be able to to use PayPal right now for this. So hopefully he gets that replacement soon. All right, so let's continue here. So it says he is in the city of Flores Park, Texas, right? So this is interesting because you'd want to be like, is Flores Park something real? So just pulling this up, Flores Park, Texas, right? There's a Flores Park, I guess, Texas somewhere. So Flores Park, but there's not a Flores Park, one word. So it kind of makes you wonder, is this something that is, really on the map? I found a Floral Park Drive in Austin, but Flores Park, yeah, the two words, Flores Park, Texas. There's this Rays, I guess, or Rise, maybe Rays Flores Park. I don't know. Is that what he's referencing? Is he actually mentioning something that's in reality, or is this a fake place? I don't know. It's definitely not at least matching it word for word in terms of how it's written. Flores Park, in terms of how it's written there, is all one word, and unless it's Floor Spark, right? But as far as I can see, it might be just a creative licensing there. I don't know if he's actually meaning this Flores Park here, that's in San Antonio, or a street or something like that. I don't know. Could be just imagined, but I think it's going to be interesting because we're going to talk a little bit later about how this does tie into Eric July's own life. So we'll think about that soon. So it says after gaining his special abilities, after saying in Flores Park, so he gains his special abilities. So we're not talking about someone who is starting off super from birth. So there's got to be some type of event or special thing that leads to these powers being gained. So that's a good question. Is this going to be one of those things that, happens from space, like some cosmic energy thing? Is this going to be something like The Boys, where there's a compound or some special chemical? Is there some type of mystical thing to it? Is there, some magic part to this? I don't know. It doesn't say specifically, but we know that at a bare minimum, he's gaining those abilities. So he didn't start that way. So a certain event had him hang up his suit, and now he stays in the outskirts of the city, living as a rancher. So this is kind of interesting because it does tie in to, if we look at, these areas, at least that are not the exact same spelling, but some of these Flores Park areas, I guess, in Texas are a little bit more rural. I mean, some of them are suburban, but it's not, most of these are just parks and stuff like that, like actual parks. But at least in those areas, there are a lot of, I guess you could say, suburban to rural areas. So I wonder if he is drawing on some of his local knowledge to put that together where, he's being a rancher. So Avery's sister, Altona, gives him a call, wants to visit an old friend by the name of Darren Fontano. And another family friend that was interning with Altona has gone missing, and she last heard that she was dealing with Darren. But Darren has much changed since he was hanging out with Avery when they were young. He's a cold-blooded shot caller and one of the most feared men in the city. So this is kind of interesting here because Darren here is definitely some type of gangster style dude, right? We're talking about someone who's clearly meant to be styled as some rough, street person who apparently is feared by, people in the city. So I think that this is definitely, in my opinion, tying into Eric July's own life. And we're going to talk about some of this in his life in just a moment here, but I'm starting to see a pattern here between the Texas and the gangster side. I think that we're starting to see something come together. So Chad says, someone gave Isom a special burrito. That'd be funny if a burrito did it. That'd be crazy. So this visit turns into one of the longest days in Avery's life. Around these parts, people called special beings. Sorry, that was what we called. Call special beings accepts. So the idea that you have accepts means that there's already nomenclature and they're known. So this sounds like it's not starting off, obviously it's some like origin story per se, because if this is starting off, at the point where he's already been a superhero for some time, there's already labels for people who are being special or considered special being accepts, is clearly going to be a later stage story. This is not starting at like, oh, okay, he was a young, person and here's how he grew up and this, that. It seems like this story is going to maybe start a little bit later potentially. So, and unfortunately for Avery, he has the luxury of running into some of the accepts. The Alpha Core and Yaira have their own set of conflicts. So the way that it goes from accepts to Alpha Core and Yaira, I would say indicates that maybe these people are considered accepts. I mean, the drawings seem to indicate that. We'll go over those two, but just linguistically here, it seems like these characters are considered accepts. So a man built like a tank by the name of Santuan reappears, and he's had previous confrontation with Avery. So what happens with Avery and Darren's meeting? Who and where is the family friend? Just grab Isom number 1, ill-advised part 1, and find out for yourself. So we have, with this scene setting, we have a lot of characters kind of thrown at us right off the bat. It is true. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of conflicts, right? So we have Avery, which is Isom's sister, give me a call and, starting off that story. And then Darren there, of course, is going to be coming into that. And again, it's a family friend that apparently was interning with Altona's gone missing. So we have that character. We don't know exactly their name or, the details of them, but we, already you have at least, Isom, Altona, Darren, and the family friend. And then you have over here at, where we're looking at the actual excepts, you have the Alpha Core, which it looks like there's three people. Take a look at that, Yaira and Santuan. So we have quite a few characters coming into play already. So before we look at those characters and think about them, I just want to take a look at Eric July's bio here on Wikipedia, and let's think about how this kind of fits in with his life, because I'm starting to see a little something here. So Eric July was born in Dallas, Texas, and he grew up in Oak Cliff. I was about to say Oakland, California for a second. I think it was an abbreviation. His parents separated when he was a young child, and he lost contact with his father. After getting involved in gang activity as a teen, he was sent to Arkansas to live with his grandmother. Later, he moved back to Dallas, where he was shot in the knee at one point and kicked out of multiple high schools despite being a talented track athlete. A narrow escape from a drive-by shooting and the death of a close friend caused July to reconsider his lifestyle. Okay, so if you think about it right now, what was one of the things that was kind of a focus from the story, right? Eric July is born in Texas, right? Dallas area. And in his life, he had gotten involved with some gang activity. Now, notice with the story, Flores Park, Texas setting. So we have something, in Texas. And we have Darren Fontano, right, who apparently is some cold-blooded shot caller, one of the most feared men in the city. Sounds like a gangster. So if you think about it, we have already some similar settings from Eric July's life in terms of, the location, and we have some kind of similar conflicts. People go missing, some kind of gang activity. So I'm thinking there's a little bit of personality drawn into this series, which there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are like, oh, don't do that. I'm like, no, I love that. I love Easter eggs. I love when artists put a little bit of themselves into it, or even a lot if it's interesting. I think that's great. So let's take a look more at what Eric July did later in his own life. So it says he attended the University of Memphis on a track and field scholarship. I think it's ranked 123 of national public universities. Later, he went to Texas A&M College in Corpus Christi, where he majored in communications. Fascinating note. I majored myself undergrad in public relations in the College of Journalism and Communications. So another shared coincidence. Interesting. So he began reading Black economists such as Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams, and changed his political views from far left to libertarian. He moved back to Dallas in March 2015. So again, we're starting to see some of these crossovers come into view, especially with his project, his campaign. You have the similarities, some of the crossovers with geography and his location, where he grew up and where he moved back to, with the scene setting for the story. You have some conflict that's rooted around some possible gangster activity, that kind of thing. And of course, Eric July being himself, he was a communications major, right? He's the writer of Rippaverse. He's the writer of Isom 1. So there's a lot of little things, coming over, crossing over and feeding into each other, starting to see these things. So now let's take a look here at some of the visuals, just to think about the characters and to think about the designs and what's going on. So with Isom's suit, right? One of the things that got me wondering what's exactly going on with his character's personality is whether or not his character is meant to have a certain religious bent. And the reason, of course, why I think that is that if you look at the suit here, I'm going to bring this on up. The consistent theme to me that I see is a chest design that has a kind of T with it, a T shape, but it could also be a cross. And if you look at his belt, his girder, he actually has a cross there. And it makes you wonder, is this some type of religious tie? Is this just superficial, or is this representing his views? Is this representing something sacred or special to him? Or is it something that is a memento from a special person? I'm not sure. But between the kind of almost cross T on the chest with the suit design and that cross down there, it almost makes me think it's a version of kind of like a necklace or a chest piece thing. There's definitely something to that makes me think maybe he's going to have some type of either religious bent or religious background that ties to it, some type of history there, right? I would be shocked that there wasn't, considering, just the prominence of it. I mean, in this other version of him, he has it there. It's not the silver one. It's a darker version for some reason. I'm not sure which one will ultimately be canon. I think it should be the silver one because that one to me looks the coolest. But, it's pretty clear that that's, what's going on there. And I think in this bigger poster, we actually get to see some more of the characters. And anyone who knows them better than I do in terms of just knowing all the art, write them on down, let people know exactly who's what. But I'm pretty sure we have Isom up top. I think we see Yarya there. We have the Alpha Core and the 3 green. I'm not exactly sure who these two are going to be. The lady with this energy thing. So that's going to be interesting. Like, what is what's her and her role going to be here? And we know that he has a sister. So the sister is that being drawn down here, or is that a guy? I'm not sure. It almost looks feminine, but I'm not exactly sure. Then we have this white guy here with the red hair, which makes me think that Eric July is maybe doing justice for all the redheads that have been removed, right? There's this whole thing with all the redheaded characters in comics and movies getting replaced and like taken out. So it kind of makes me wonder if Eric July is like, what, I'm gonna put those redheads back in. I got you Irish people. I'm gonna get you some Irish people back. But he's got those little bit of almost what looks like some type of dreads at the front. So I kind of like that. That's pretty cool. Makes him unique. But you got to wonder, is he trying to help out all the Irish people who've been removed from all the comics and movies? Maybe he is. I don't know. But the Alpha Core here, they're drawn here as looking like they're flying. They said they were Accepts before. I'm thinking that's probable also because we have other evidence here with them all off the ground. So as you can see here with the Alpha Core, it looks like they're in control. They're flying and floating. So I'm going to assume that they have the ability to fly or float at some level. And, them moving up here again intimates that they all have the ability to move quickly in the air. So I don't think that they're jumping up or something like that. It looks like they're supposed to be flying. You can see Yaira there also flying. So I think, let me see here if got another one of her. Yeah, you can see right here too. Right. So she has some type of conflict with Isom, obviously, because one of the covers here, I think this is this B cover here, that has them in some type of tiff. I don't know if it's serious, like if this is just like a, hey, we're fighting each other kind of thing, and then we're going to be buddy after, or whether they're going to be, basically arch enemies of some sorts. I'm not sure. The Alpha Core to me looks more like the bad guys. They look like the really evil, angry people, that kind of thing. So let's look here really quick at some of the comments here. So Chen says, Yaira and Isom used to date, bad breakup. I mean, you never know. That could be true. It could be true. It'd be interesting to see if they had that. I mean, it's possible. That was another thing too. I wasn't sure whether, Eric was going to focus on romance at all to any extent, because, romance obviously could be a part of the normal run of things in comic books, but I wasn't sure if that's something that he really wants to focus on right off the bat. For me, I don't do the romantic stuff really in my comic books because I'm trying to focus on the action and like the suspense and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, maybe I'll see it in things later, but much more focused on the actual action and dialogue and character development than the who's gonna kiss who. But here, there was nothing, at least there's no pictures or anything released so far where there's anything kissing or making out or doing something like that. So is he going to just focus on the action? I mean, so far, at least when he's presented, it looks like that's going to be the case. It looks like that's going to be what will ultimately happen. So this right here, I'm going to pull up I got to remove all these back real quick. There we go. Now I'm back on the page. Okay. So the guy built like a tank, right? So a man built like a tank by the name of Santuan reappears. So there's this, come back. There's this one character drawing here with a guy who, I mean, he's not built like a literal tank, but this guy looks huge, right? I mean, he looks jacked, massive, absolutely. I mean, he's got some cool gloves. I don't know what those are going to do. Is that him? Is that him? I mean, if you look at the size comparison between Isom, his feet and his body here, it seems like that could be the case. So maybe that is him. If that is him, is this his standard outfit, or does he have a super, kind of an Xeps outfit? Just like Isom here looks to be plain clothes. Does this character also have their own suit? That's a good question. Probably. I mean, considering they're both in plain clothes, maybe they just happen to run into each other. I'm not sure, but I think that is likely given the circumstances. So we also have some more artwork here that they had released in the campaign that might give us some clues. I like how everything's watermarked, right? They had the big Rippaverse on there to watermark it. I like that, just to make sure like you can't rip this. So we have here some type of action sequence, and someone's being flipped over. I'm not sure who the other characters are, but they're being smashed on the ground. And we can see right here with the hoodie, that's got to be something with Isom, maybe that bigger guy, because it does almost look like the bigger guy here in this one panel, but it's hard to tell. Then he goes over and he kicks somebody into this group of people. So if this is possibly his sister right here, then maybe this could make sense. This is where maybe she was calling him over to deal with the missing friend who we don't know who that is yet. And we don't know if it's one of these people or whatnot. We don't know if there's been a backstabbing or, double crossing. I don't know. And it's not very clear who these people are, at least from these angles, because the artwork here is a little bit more, I guess you could say, discreet. The way it's drawn, it's a little bit hard to see the physical details. A lot of the facial expressions and their details are kind of mudded out. So it's hard to tell whether these people are anyone in particular in reference to the other drawings. So if you have an idea about who they might be, definitely let me know in the comments here. We'll figure that one out. But so it says here, Sand Swan or Sanda is the guy with the gold teeth, right? Okay, so if he is the guy with the gold teeth, let's see here. Anyone have gold teeth here? Okay, there you go. So here's a guy with gold teeth. Okay, so if he is the guy with gold teeth, then we definitely have some characters here who we don't know, who it's just unknown, I guess, for now. Is this a guy or is this a girl at the bottom? I'm not sure. Who is who? We only have some clues here from what we had told in the story, but it's not exactly clear, especially the white people. I'm not sure exactly if they are respect or reflective of anybody, because at first it almost could look like maybe they match up to the Alpha Core here. There's some similarities, right? With the girl in the dress with her energy and then the girl up top. They kind of line up there. Is this just a repetition of the Alpha Core in their plain clothes? I don't know. I wouldn't think they would do that, but I'm not sure. I also like how over here with Darren, they have the finger off the trigger, right? There you go. That's a rare sight that someone actually has the proper control, like the finger control, trigger control, keeping your finger off the trigger, either on the protector or up on the slide, the trigger guard or up on the slide, whatever you do. I mean, obviously if you point it on up, your finger all the way up, it's a little bit better, safe, you could say, but it's properly off at least. That's good. That's good. So at least someone knows to draw it that way. So yeah, I mean, I think overall, at least from how it's written so far, again, I could definitely be wrong on this because I just don't have enough information. I'm kind of making some inferences here, but it seems like there's some type of power scaling here. There's got to be some type of power scaling here because there's already comparatives about entry level heroes versus who else. There's other types of Xeps. There's clearly some type of conflict there. I'm thinking that there's going to be some type of power, kind of I guess you could say standardization, something you could think about in reflection. Will it be very finely detailed and like numeric, or it's like, oh, you have this level power, this, that? I don't know. There's nothing here that suggests that, but it could be possible that this is a power scaling universe. It definitely could be possible. There's also some very hard to see details too that we might be able to get a little bit of reference on. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look at the main page, some of these backgrounds that they use are actually panels, and I don't know. I don't think that they are panels that are just, I guess you could say, nonsensical, like they just have nothing to do with the story. There's got to be something there. It's kind of hard to see in this light. I mean, you have to really zoom in to even see it. But there is, and I'm zooming all the way in. So if you don't see this, don't fret. It's definitely just how dark this is because it's overlaid. But there is a character here who has two hands up and some type of energy in the center with a question mark, this like ring and a question mark. And that really makes you wonder, is that related to the other character, Dokuman? I don't know. It's hard to tell. There's this other person who looks, he's a guy, he's got like this kind of like fur coat top. Again, it's very hard to see because it's all blurred out. And he's very muscular. He's got something that just looks like kind of like Conan the Barbarian kind of thing. But you have to zoom in, you have to blow it up, and you have to kind of make it out or maybe turn up the contrast kind of thing. So yeah, that's another key there, another cue. I mean, you have that other picture, of course, there's another still on this right-hand side, but that's when we had the colors of it. But the one on the left, we don't. I don't think that one exists in, colored form. So yeah, just trying to piece these together one bit at a time. You just kind of zoom in and see what you can see. But if you look, there's some battle scene happening over here. You can see, I think it's Yaira and maybe one of the Alpha Corps. So they're definitely going to fight, it looks like. There's some guy back here, some white-looking guy in what probably is a business-y looking suit and a chair. Not exactly sure, what he's doing there. Might be that guy that we saw on the bigger poster. It's possible that it's, let me pull this up. This person here, who's in the red. It's possible that he might be that person who is sitting in this middle panel on the page right there behind the word Rippaverse in the middle of it. You take a look, zoom on in yourself too later and think about it. Does that character match up? I'm not sure. Could be, but yeah, it's a little hard to tell because it's covered up and it's not an image. Like it's not like an image I can open in a new page kind of thing, or at least readily. So kind of tough to see. Then the character who we have not really directly talked about yet, at least like looked at them hardcore, was Dokuman. And that one's, to me, one of the biggest mysteries because Dokuman, I don't even know. It just doesn't seem like the character necessarily fits with anything else. So I'm wondering to what extent that character is like a main character in Isom, or whether that character is, something that's, not really meant to be for there. It's tough to figure out. So we have, this character. I'm going to try to pull up some of these images online here. And you can see there's Dokuman, the cards. It looks like Igor's art, so I think he may have drawn it. I don't know whether this character, again, I said this the other day, is this character meant to be real, like as in like it's the natural world thing, or is it a character who is more magical or spiritual or something of that nature? I don't know. It looks very mystical, right? I mean, those hands, the coloration, the discoloration, the arms, the skin, the claw-looking fingers, the eyes, none of that looks humanoid in terms of just it being something that's just off human or close to human. I mean, yeah, sure, it has hands that are human-esque, but it's not quite, I would say, at least looking at the whole of this, something that's necessarily human or even maybe living or of this world. I don't know. So it's a good question. It's a good question whether this is just kind of a character that's just going to be around as in the background, or whether it's going to be a separate series thing and they just promoted it for the purpose of the set. Here's actually someone doing a little artwork too. I think I showed this yesterday of Yaira and Isom versus Dokuman. Now again, would they be battling? I don't even know. This is someone's fan art. Would they even be battling? It's tough to say whether or not one of them would be battling each other. So I don't know. It's a big mystery. I'd say it's probably one of the biggest mysteries of the characters who's actually been shown in their, you could say their fullness of their character design, to an extent, to the extent that the character design has actually been released in terms of their body and in terms of maybe some of their energy effects. So you can just see who they are a little bit. So yeah, I'll take a look here at the comments real quick. I see a few more theories. So let's see. So Buddha Bear says, I see that white guy, maybe someone they fought in high school, will play as an anti-hero, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, is that someone who is a long-standing character who's been, with him or known of him for a long time, or is it someone new? Is this related to the person who went missing? Because with the person who went missing, his sister's friend, is that going to develop a whole new slew of enemies or arch enemies and that kind of thing? Or is this is just like a one-off, okay, the bad thing happens, and then it's like, okay, arc complete, moving on to the next thing, and then you don't even think about them anymore. That's going to be an interesting development to me to see whether or not these characters are going to just be around for like an arc and then they're done. Because as Eric said, he's doing it where canon is key, and there's not going to be any magical coming back to life, like reimagined universe or whatever parallel universe stuff. He's going to make it where if someone's dead, they're dead. If something happens, they're crippled, right? So if that happens, some of these characters could be off in this, season 1, episode 1 of Isom, and then that's it, they're done. So I'm curious how attached we'll end up being to some of these characters, and whether they'll even last to the second issue, to Isom number 2. So it'll be fun to see. It definitely is going to be fun to see where it ends up going. I think this poster right here is probably one of the ones that is the most telling a bit about the characters in the universe. I just don't really know, exactly who is going to ultimately be who for their respective parts. So again, just looking here at go to the campaign and just looking at the names, just tying this up again. We have at the top Isom. We have Darren here, Darren Fontainio, I think, who is the old friend, but there's another family friend who is interning with Altona who's gone missing. Now, is that one of these people here? I don't know. If they're gone missing, part of me thinks that they wouldn't be on the cover if they've gone missing, kind of to add to the mystery. And then, we have the Alpha Core, so the 3 grain Yaira. And then Santuan apparently is this big buff dude with the gold grill. So he's, looks extra jacked and extra menacing. And then in terms of names, unless one of these people somehow transform into Dokuman or Dokubon, I don't know what they're going to be. So we do have some open mysteries lingering here, and I guess we're going to have to wait to find out who ends up being who in the end. But that's the best part about a good story, is it leaves you with some mysteries to unveil. It makes you want to see what's going to happen next. And I definitely want to see what happens next. So it was a lot of fun to be able to talk to y'all and go through that. And also to connect that little bit of history that we could see with Eric July's own life, him coming originally from Texas, me in Dallas, him having some early childhood experiences and trauma with gang activity. We see some of that already taking kind of the scene and plot development for Isom, with being in Flores Park, Texas, and with some type of conflict that might deal with kidnapping and someone going missing, and some type of gangster activity, that kind of thing. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to see exactly how that all unfolds. So Buddha says, I may be a little mad if more than one of the guys on my Rippaverse t-shirt dies in the first issue, right? Yeah, that's gonna be interesting, right? Will any of them die in the first issue? Will it get brutal right off the bat? That's a tough one. It could happen. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like the comic series Invincible. I loved how they took you with all these characters and they built up the heroes, made you think they're going to be around for a while, and all of a sudden, boom, Omni-Man wipes ball. That was amazing. So definitely a huge inspiration for me too. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. And yeah, I'm going to be going to the Yao Rev event this weekend, so we'll be busy with that. You might see some pictures of me posting. Maybe I'll do a little video. Who knows? But you're going to see me having some fun with some cool people, and that'll be its own fun mystery unveiling. So, all right. I enjoyed this, and I'm excited to see you next time we stream. We'll see what happens next. Maybe we'll do a little update on whatever happens, if there's any new news with Rippaverse getting new processors and stuff like that. So, all right. Take care, everybody.
Zero State.